What is up, Dolph fans, and welcome back into another episode of Dolphins HQ here in the Baptist Hill Studios. And my guest today is former Dolphins offensive lineman Jermon Bushrod, my post-game partner on iHeartRadio, Big 105.9 FM, and Fox Sports 940 AM. Jermon, welcome in, man. What do you think? These are some new digs for you. You were in the Dave facility a couple years back. This is a little bit nicer.
A little bit nicer? No, it's funny. I think it's my first time being actually in this building. I think I missed one of the tours for the older players that could come back, when everything was all said and done. But, hey, man, listen, you got to have nice facilities these days. And, I guess you could say we were on the tail end of the roughing it era with the Dolphins over there off of University. But, it is what it is.
So Jermon and I do the post-game show after Dolphins games. The minute the clock hits 000, we're on the air talking about the game you just saw. And there's so much we can talk about from our 5 games together now. But I want to just start with the offensive improvement from the last couple of weeks, because the Colts game was a tough start. Kind of got some things going against the Patriots. The Bills game, same deal. But it feels like the last couple of weeks, Miami's offense has taken a different step. What have you seen from the offense that encourages you going forward the rest of the season?
I really think it starts with the head coach. Obviously, he's the one who's calling the plays, and I think he's really buttoned up the play calling. And we figured out a way just to be more efficient, getting the plays in, having enough time to get up to the line of scrimmage, because in some of the schemes that he does run, there's a lot of pre-snap movement. There's a lot of communication that takes place. So I think, the offense as a whole just being better, getting up to the line of scrimmage with enough time to communicate properly, to move properly, and then it gives your quarterback an opportunity to kind of assess the defense as well. So I really just think from an operation standpoint, it's been better from week 1 to week 5.
You feel like it kind of clicks in terms of like the run game a little bit more as they go along? I know the last game was the lowest rushing output of the season, but we've talked to guys that have played in this offensive line and kind of the style of the scheme where it's like fire off the ball, right? And we talked about this in the Carolina game. Guys like jump setting, whether it was guards or tackles, like often jump sets. That's kind of the mode of go get the defensive line, right? Go reset the line of scrimmage that way. What do you think of that style of play in terms of how you would like playing like that in your playing days?
Well, that was actually something that I kind of hung my hat on, and just understanding, I call it a toolbox, right? Because you have all these different techniques that you can use as offensive linemen, and if you're continuing to take the same type of set, a 45 or a vertical set, unless you really mastered that, it's hard to it's a chess game that you're playing with the defender, especially when you get in these second and long, third and long opportunities. You want to be able to give your defender a different look, a different feel.
Speaking of the jump set, I'll never forget one of your best buddies in this business, Teron Armstead.
Yeah.
2023 against the Cowboys, he jump sets Micah Parsons and kind of like does a jump set, then a snatch trap on him to throw a screen in behind him for Tyreek Hill for a first down that eventually won us that game. So it's fun to watch when guys execute it really well.
And again, that's something that Teron has been doing for a very long time. As my tenure in New Orleans ended, he was coming in, so we had a lot of the same type of, we got taught a lot of the same techniques. And then on those types of plays, when you do have to jump a guy, the thing that's exciting is they feel like it's just another opportunity where you're jumping me, getting your hands and your feet on me as fast as you can, so now I got to go rush the passer, and he's able to throw him off with a screen. So at the end of the day, what that does is just set you up in the long run in this chess match, because it's a 60-minute game that's spread over 3.5 hours. So, you don't want to give them the same look. It's just trying to figure out how can I confuse this person I'm playing.
Speaking of something that makes football fun, you were part of the 2016 Dolphins team that was one of my favorite years as a Dolphins fan, the 9-2 finish to get into the playoffs. But you started that year 1-4, and we've had this discussion on the show a couple of times. When you came back into the building at 1-4, and if you've had other years that were challenging in the same way, what's the mindset got to be for a team who's lost 4 of the first 5 games but still has a whole season ahead of them?
Yeah. Kind of going back to 2016, that was like one of your favorite years covering the team, you said. But for me as a player, that was one of my favorite years just as a player, just to be in that type of situation. Like, you feel like the season's almost over with at 1-4, and you kind of have to take it back to a line in the sand type of moment. Like, I'm going to make my mind up of what I can do to be better. And I remember actually, Juwan James was the right tackle that year. And we were sitting in the locker room, I believe, after we had lost to go 1-4. And we were just having a discussion, and we talked about man, whatever we got to do, we got to fix this. We got to figure this out. Whether it's coming together, whether it's working harder as an individual, and I can remember that moment, and then I can just remember Adam Gase, the head coach at that time, how we just approached that year. It was a one-game season, every single game. It was something that really resonated with us because it was the things that we were talking about after the game. It's a one-game season, and we're going to figure out how to win this game this week. I remember the game like it was yesterday. It was the Steelers. They had a tough defense. They were a good team overall, and we came out and we did something that no team, especially that season, was able to do against them. And then we rode that wave. And we started to figure out, well, this is who we are. That's how you want your football team to feel. And I just think when it comes to you being 1-4, it's a decision that has to be made. It's a lot of soul searching, a lot of, looking in the mirror and saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do to get better. How are we going to be better as a unit so that each unit can be better, so then we can overall be a better team? And what does that look like? And obviously it starts with the head coaches and the coordinators figuring that out and just relaying that message in a way that these guys, it resonates with the players.
I love this guy because I always learn something about football when I talk to you, Jermon. You can hear Jermon and myself on Dolphins postgame live on Big 105.9 FM and Fox Sports 940. Once that clock hits 000s, we're on the air breaking things down for you guys. So, Jermon, appreciate your time today, man. Maybe get you iced coffee on the way out of here. You need something to drink?
Listen, with the way these facilities look, I know y'all got all kind of goodies.
We do. We can get you hooked up. Appreciate you, Jermon. Thanks, man.
No problem. Appreciate you.
Dolphins wide receiver Jaylen Waddle has produced a lot of yards and touchdowns in this league, but right now he has a chance to really showcase his stuff as the Dolphins' true number one wide receiver. One game in so far, success. And who would know better about Waddle's skills than Dolphins cornerbacks coach Matthew Arujo, who his guys go up against Waddle every day in practice.
He has every level of separation possible. Line of scrimmage, break area, fade area. Like on the line of scrimmage, his hip shift, he does a great job before. Like our whole goal is to not kick open and not turn and run as long as we can. We're just essentially trying to stay in front of you as long as we can. And he does an amazing job of forcing you to feel like, oh, I got to turn and run. So he gets guys off their spot, and that's how, for us, we were able to get so efficient at playing on the line of scrimmage because you're playing against that every day. So he can win there and create separation off the line. Then when he's in the break area, he does a great job being able to drop his weight, get in and out of breaks, gets his eyes around, can high point the football. He goes and he takes the ball out of the air. And then down the field, he's got great patience, laid hands, separation. So he has every facet that you want a receiver to have. So for us, going against that every day, you can't beat it.
Thank you, Coach Arujo. I'm going to show you exactly what he's talking about right there with the technique and nuance to Jaylen Waddle's game. First play right here of 4 against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Waddle, top of your screen, going to win this little out route right here against Panthers cornerback Mike Jackson. But I want to show you why the nuance in Waddle's route detail is what frees him up to get this space and separation against the Carolina defense. This is going to be cover 6 right here. Quarter, half. Deep quarter for this safety, and this safety has a deep half of the field. You're going to get underneath coverage right here from the linebackers as well. And Waller's going to run a little flat route right here, and this defender's going to hang out in the curl flat area. And Waddle, what he has to do is threaten these players to get depth into their drops. Watch the way he gets off the line of scrimmage right here. That inside release threatens this safety, so that he's going to have to make sure he covers the hash mark right here in case Waddle runs that post. Maybe it's deep over route. He's going to threaten him with speed and urgency out of the blocks off the top. And what that does is forces this defender into more depth, and then this quarter defender in the deep part of the coverage has to make sure he can get that depth against a possible corner route in case Waddle goes deep on the play. But Waddle is setting these guys up with this urgency. Foot in the ground. Look at the depth this cornerback gets in that deep portion of coverage. He breaks this thing right back off and flattens it at the sticks, comes back and catches it with his hands, plucks it really nicely to get the first down for Miami. Good job by Waller right here in the flat area to hold this cloud corner so he can't sink into this area for Waddle and get his hands on that pass. Waddle's catching everything this year. Hands, plucking that thing, making sure he's securing that ball going all the way to the ground. We'll go ahead and show you the end zone angle right here to show you how good this catch was after he created the space with his attention to detail as a route runner. These short routes can open up longer stuff later in the game. I'm going to show you a second short route right here, this time against the Panthers' best cornerback in man coverage. You're going to get man free right here. So we're going to have a safety who rolls to the middle of the field and then man coverage across the board the rest of the way. And because this safety rolls to the opposite hash right here at the snap, there's the snap. You're going to see him get depth right here. This cornerback, the Panthers' best, knows that he is possibly threatened in the deep portion of the field, or if Waddle wants to run a crossing route, he has to get to that as well. Waddle knows this, so what he does is threatens the inside release and gets back to the outside with, once again, great separation on one of the best cornerbacks in the entire National Football League. Come off the route with intent and really make sure you threaten this post to create this urgency in the cornerback right here. Put the foot in the ground, break it back across. Look at that position. You're just not going to be able to stop a pass there from Tua to Waddle when he gets that type of separation at the top of the break. Go up and make the catch in the air, get out of bounds. Big first down for the Dolphins once again. And these short routes create opportunities down the field, because cornerbacks can get kind of lulled to sleep sometimes when you keep breaking off these routes for 10, 12, 15-yard gains. I just want to show you the detail again of Waddle right here. So he's even. That's Tua's designed to throw the ball deep because Waddle can run past that even coverage. And once he gets on top, he's going to stack him right here. Get him on his back. He's got that trail technique underneath. Stack him so he can't get over the top of you when that ball does descent from the throw from Tua. We just miss it on the deep completion right there, but that's a good route by Waddle, and it's a good indicator of what's to come here in the fourth quarter on this deep touchdown pass from Tua to Waddle for 46 yards, which we're going to break down right now. And first, I want to go ahead and jump to the end zone copy because this is cool formation right here. You've got two tight ends attached to the formation right here, Julian Hill, Darren Waller, and that's Alec Ingold. So it looks like 13 personnel with 3 tight ends, but that's a fullback, so you have 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tight ends. And the one receiver on the field is Jaylen Waddle. Let's go ahead and take a look at this play from him. It's going to be pretty basic man coverage right here, and Waddle's going to just roll right past him. So the formation, the play action fake, it influences these Panthers defensive backs, the entire linebacker group, and this cornerback as well. And Waddle threatens the outside release, crosses face back inside, and it's right there. It's over. That speed to burn to the goal line. Tua knows this. Look at the ball's already coming out of Tua's hands right there, hands separating, because he knows if he's even, he's leaving. And in Waddle's case, it's before he's even to the cornerback that he knows he's going to win that deep route. But watch the detail right here. We're going to run right by him. We know we've got him beat right here, but watch him work to restack back to the outside right here. Put that defensive back on your back. It makes it easier to track the ball, make the catch over the goal line, touchdown there for Jaylen Waddle. So when it comes to Jaylen Waddle, strike to pose, the route detail, the intent at the line of scrimmage, the explosiveness at all levels, this guy is a lot more than just speed in his game. He is a technician, a detailed, nuanced receiver who's making big plays for the Dolphins. 2 games without Tyreek Hill, 130 yards in 2023, 110 yards on Sunday. He's a playmaker for your Miami Dolphins. Our opponent spotlight this week takes us to Los Angeles for the LA Chargers, presented by GoV. My guest today is the voice of the Chargers, Matt Money Smith. Money, welcome back into the show, man. Thanks for joining us today.
It's great to be here. It's great to be back, Travis. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has been. I think the 23 opener we had you on, that was an explosive game from both sides and an exciting finish in that one from the Dolphins' perspective. Right now, the Chargers 3-2, Dolphins 1-4 heading into this game. Before we get going any further, Matt, I wanted to ask you because, man, injuries across the league right now seem to be kind of the story of the year in 2025. And for the Chargers, could you just take us through the early part of the week snapshot from a medical standpoint for the Chargers? What are some of the injuries that happened in that game that you expect to maybe have an impact here in week 6?
Yeah, a lot of them. Amari and Hampton had just started really getting going. So he's on IR. He's out for at least 4. Najee, of course, blew his Achilles a couple weeks ago. So you're down to essentially Hassan Haskins, who's really just like a 4-core special teams guy. Kamani Vidal, who started the season on the practice squad. I think that's probably what you're looking at, is that 2-headed monster, and it's certainly not Najee Harris and Amari and Hampton. So that's the big one. Trey Pipkins was in and out of the game and then ended up missing about the last, I'd say probably quarter and a half. Jamari Sawyer was playing right tackle, so see what his status is. Without Slater, without Alt, without Pipkins, you'd be on your tackle 4 and tackle 5. If it's not Mackay, you're probably looking at a guard in Foster Sorrell, who wasn't even on the roster when the season opened, and was brought back in about week 2 or 3. The offensive line has been completely decimated.
Yeah, I wanted to start there because I knew the list was vast. I heard about Pipkins exiting and Mekhi Becton exiting the game, but I wasn't sure their status coming back. So I was trying to start the interview there because I think it's instructive for how this game might go. And what was the biggest difference between those first three games and the last two games? It kind of sounds like it's the injuries. Is it just that, the injuries?
No, it's not. It's they have played incredibly sloppy football, which we are not used to seeing under Coach Harbaugh. Prior to the last 2 weeks, he had exactly one game of 8 or more penalties, and he has now had a combined 24 for 192 yards in these last 2 games. You're talking about taking points off the board. You're talking about putting points on the board because of penalties. And I think, the thing, it's not just the interceptions, it's the situations that the penalties are putting the Chargers in that lead to those interceptions.
To me, one of the biggest surprises of the early part of the season so far is happening in Los Angeles, because the Chargers had this offensive structure a year ago where, I kind of call it the every drive that ends in a kick is a good result mentality, right? And then they go and they sign Mekhi Becton, they draft Omarion Hampton, they sign Mike Williams, they draft Trey Harris, and I'm like, yeah, they're going to be a big body team that run pass every single series this year. And then they open the season, and through the first 4 games, they had the highest pass rate over expected in the entire NFL. And so I just wanted to ask an expert and get your thought on how that came to be. Were you as surprised with that as I am?
Coach Harbaugh has always, kind of been a guy that prides himself on offensive line play. And so all that lines up to be a physical, power running, gap scheme football, team. And it's just not been the case. And I think I credit him because, look, through the first 3 weeks, Herbert's, one of the 2 favorites to win the MVP. And their position was, well, we just want to put the ball in the hands of our best player. And Herbert's playing lights out, and we can protect him. And now he's got this trio of receivers that are in the conversation as the best trio of receivers in the game, in Keenan, Ladd, and Q, the way Q has come on this year. And so I understood it. But then we have a game like the Giants, where Herbert's getting his head caved in, and he's coming off a 14 quarterback hit, 4-sack game, and now the same thing's happening. You can't drop this guy back 46 times when he's the most pressured quarterback in the league, the most blitz quarterback in the league, and the most hit quarterback in the league. That's just not, the guy's not going to be out there after week 10, even though he's a horse. So that was just kind of one of the weird ones.
Let's go ahead and pivot to the defensive side of the ball. And, I just love what this Charger defense does from a structure standpoint, the way they play super hard. If you could take us inside the structure of this Jesse Minter defense and what it is that makes it so tough on quarterbacks with the skies and post-snap rotation and just how they're able to be so dominant on that side of the ball.
It's a zone D with too high is what you're talking about. I think the special sauce of it is how athletic Deion Henley, our off-the-ball linebacker, and Derwin James are, and how you can move those guys around. And Deion might be a spy. He might be an edge. He might be squatting, in the middle of the field, and you don't realize he's there because Jesse ran a simulated pressure, and Deion's got his nose in the B gap, and before you know it, he's dropped out. Or there's a ton of just 5, 6 on the line, and he's only bringing 4. And this happens a lot on 3rd down. He'll overload one side. And you just don't. I think it's tough for quarterbacks to figure out who's dropping out, and that's how you end up getting, just kind of every layer of the defense is solid.
Where can this Dolphins team threaten the Chargers? Like if you're putting together a game plan offensively or defensively, what kind of sticks out to you the most about this Dolphins team offensively or defensively?
I think it's just the elite speed of A-Chain. I think that's kind of what I'd be looking at is, you can – it's been an issue. It's been a real issue for them. And I think you've seen it now 3 weeks in a row with J.K. Dobbins, 50-yard, Jakrowski Merritt, 40-yard, Scadaboo, was really good. You look at the numbers and you see, it was only like 3.7 per carry. Yeah, it didn't feel like that. Keep it on the ground. Take what he's giving you. Use, I'll be anxious to see with how good Darren Waller's been, what they do with Derwin, and if they try to use him like they have, to just limit it. They put him on Bowers, and Bowers wasn't right in that game, but he just eliminated. He erased anything he tried to get when Derwin was over there. So, I think that's probably what I'd be looking at.
He is the host of the Los Angeles Chargers and the co-host of the Petros and Money Show, Matt Money Smith. Money, appreciate your time, man. It's always great to see you, and we'll see you here on Sunday.
You got it, Travis. Thanks, man.
That will do it for us here for this episode of Dolphins HQ from the Baptist Health Studios. Don't forget to check out the Drive Time podcast, hosted by yours truly, available 5 days a week wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to Dolphins YouTube channel for new episodes of Mic'd Up, Coach McDaniel breakdowns, media availabilities, and Under the Sun. We'll be back here next week to get you ready for Week 7 at the Cleveland Browns. Enjoy Week 6 in the NFL, and we'll see you soon.